guys, welcome to this week's video. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Lauren Conklin and I am a financial coach. So this week's topic is procrastination, the secret money thief. So we all know this dirty word, procrastination, defined by Oxford Languages as the action of delaying or postponing something. It's pretty ironic that the definition starts with the word action when it ultimately leads us to inaction. Procrastination slows down any progress towards our goals and our dreams. It also leads to feelings of stress, shame, and frustration. Not only does procrastination rob us of the obvious thing, time, but it also robs us of money and opportunity. We often don't realize that financial procrastination is one of the driving causes behind spending too much, saving too little, and failing to reach our financial goals. Now, I don't want you to beat yourself up. We all procrastinate. It's human nature. In fact, I am a huge offender when it comes to procrastination. But the degree to which we procrastinate is what we really need to be concerned about. As soon as procrastination becomes problematic in our lives, that's when we need to rein it in. So what do I mean by problematic? Well, if procrastination is causing you to miss obligations, work deadlines, or other commitments that ultimately are causing problems with your health, relationships, or work or income, then that's really a problem. Financially speaking, many people tend to procrastinate when it comes to starting a budget or saving for retirement, funding and replenishing your emergency fund, dealing with debt, keeping up with your financial or estate planning, and so much more. I want to take a minute to point out that procrastination is sneaky. So we tend to think of procrastination as that college student sitting on the couch, binge watching some network series instead of working on that research paper that's due the next day. Or that businesswoman who falls into a Facebook spiral on her brother's, sister's, cousin's, mailman's dog, right? Instead of maybe working on client acquisition or a service or a product that needs to be worked on right away. In both of these examples, the people are using their time for pleasurable and usually mindless purposes in order to avoid a difficult task that they really should be completing instead. But as I mentioned, there is a sneakier, ninja style, if you will, type of procrastination. It's called structured procrastination or productive procrastination. This is when we convince ourselves that we're technically doing something productive, but in actuality, it's a task that does not move us any closer to our goal, and it's usually less difficult than something that we should be doing in that moment. For example, I personally do this when I watch a million YouTube videos or listen to a bunch of podcasts about business or marketing in order to probably avoid taking action in something specific I should be doing in that moment for my business. Or another example would be to put a lot of time into social media posts or making really cool business swag instead of focusing on client acquisition or productive ways to generate more income. Okay, so now that we've called out that sneaky form of procrastination that I'm sure a lot of us do, I want to talk now about the 3 types of procrastinators. According to Dr. Ellen Henriksen, a clinical psychologist of Boston University's Center of Anxiety and Related Disorders, BU alum, woo woo, anyone? BU? Anyways, there are 3 types of procrastinators: the avoider, the optimist, and the pleasure seeker. Okay. Now, the avoider, this one probably is pretty clear to all of us. They put things off in order to avoid things that make you feel badly, right? So things that either give you anxiety or boredom or make you overwhelmed or sad. So you avoid doing those things. The second kind, or the second type of procrastinator, is the optimist. They put things off because they actually have this misperception of time and think that the tasks will take less time than they really do. Have you ever met this person, or are you this person, and you're like, really? You think you're going to be able to finish that whole thing in 20 minutes? Good luck. Well, that is a real misperception that the optimist procrastinator has. The third type is the pleasure seeker, often known as the slacker, right? They only do what they truly want to do, and often other people are left kind of picking up the slack. So you can be one of those types of procrastinators or a combination of them, or different type at different times for different tasks. But now that we've identified the who or the types of procrastinators, let's really dig into the why. We need to understand the why so that we can fix it or rein it in. So why do we do it? And specifically, why do we procrastinate when it comes to our finances? Well, that's kind of a loaded question, but I'm going to boil it down to some of the main reasons. Okay, here we go. The first reason is that we lack confidence, that we don't think we can complete a task and we worry about failure. The second one is that we don't want to do it unless we can do it perfectly. And this usually goes along with a certain level of need for control. I personally struggle with this one. I am definitely a perfectionist. If I don't feel that I have the right amount of allotted time to complete the task or the skills or the help available to do it well and do it perfectly, I kind of just don't even want to start it. And that is a form of procrastination. Another reason why we do it is we're easily distracted or we lack self-control. So in this time of social media and any TV show at our fingertips on demand, it's very easy to get distracted. And it takes an extra amount of self-control. Remember when we were growing up and would have to wait a full week for the next episode of our favorite show to air? We don't need that anymore. So it takes a lot of self-control to stop falling down that rabbit hole of shows or to stop using social media or other things to procrastinate. Another reason we procrastinate is we just don't enjoy the task that we have to do. So we prioritize something else that gives us more instant gratification. Again, human nature. And then another reason is we get overwhelmed. We feel that either we don't have the skill or the tools, or we have so much to do and we can't prioritize it, that why even start? Another reason that we procrastinate is, again, because we underestimate the time required, like the optimist does, or sometimes we purposely rely on time as a pressure to get the work done. This is actually called active procrastination because you're doing it purposefully. Are you yourself, or did you have a friend in college that purposefully wouldn't start working on that term paper until 2 hours before and then they just bang it out and they said they worked better under pressure? Some people really do feel that way, and that's why they procrastinate. However, most studies show that really you would do a better job and be less overwhelmed if you space things out and kind of knocked them off in small, manageable chunks. On that note, the ability to break tasks down into smaller chunks, it's really hard for some people. So another reason a lot of people tend to procrastinate is because they're viewing the task as one big project and they have trouble committing to that long-term goal or all the work or processes that are going to go into it. So we know the types of procrastinators. We know why we procrastinate, so that's great. So now let's figure out how to avoid it. Notice I didn't say completely stop it, because as we mentioned before, procrastination is human nature. So it's never going to completely just cease to exist. However, there are ways that we can stop it from having problematic effects on our lives. My favorite ways are, number one, you're not going to believe this one, bribe yourself. That's right. So for those of you that are parents like me, we bribe our children. Let's all admit it. Whether it be to promise future fun or something is worth it because they're going to get a prize or a treat. Bribery works. So sometimes we need to practice that on ourselves. Say that you will reward yourself with some form of self-care, for instance, if you get XYZ done by a certain time or started. Another way to avoid procrastination is to learn more about money. Now be careful with this one. This can very easily fall into structured or productive procrastination, where now you're just watching a bunch of YouTube videos on finance. So the reason I say learn about money is because when you feel well versed in your finances, you are less likely to have that lack of confidence or that feeling like you're going to fail, which in turn causes procrastination. But be careful with that one. It's a fine line between learning about money and using it as an excuse to procrastinate. The next one is to make goal setting a ritual, and to do it the right way. So see my other videos for more details on successful goal setting. Another way to avoid procrastinating, which I love and it works wonders for me personally, is something that Mel Robbins created. Not to be confused with Tony Robbins, who's also wonderful. Mel Robbins created the 5-second rule, and it's great. It's simple, yet it's like miraculous. And I'll let you look it up for more details. But basically, you count down from 5 anytime your mind is trying to get out of a task. I use it for getting out of bed in the morning when I want to keep hitting snooze on my alarm clock. You count down from 5, and that's very important. You don't count up because your brain will think it can keep counting because that's the way we're wired. So we need to trick our brain because it knows once we get to 0, that's it. So you count down from 5, and it will just give you that spark you need to start the task. And as we all know, starting the task is more than half the battle because you may just finish it, for instance, getting out of bed, I'm not going to get back in, or you're going to get a significant portion of work done once you just start. Another really useful way to avoid procrastination is to journal and journal and journal and journal some more. You really want to get to know about what makes you tick, why you procrastinate. And I personally used to hate journaling. I would stare at a blank page and not know what to write. I'd be like, I feel weird. I'd be like, dear diary. I don't know. I lacked that creativity, I guess. So I like to use more of a bulleted list type of approach when it comes to journaling, whatever works for you. But whenever you have a task that you know you're putting off, and we know when we're putting things off, right? Write down why you're putting it off. All the reasons, all of them. Nothing is too silly. Nothing is too small. It could be, I don't have enough time. I just don't want to. It's not enjoyable. I feel like I need help. I feel like I need to research it more. I don't have the right tools. Whatever it is, write it down because you cannot solve a problem until you identify it. So writing it down and really journaling will help you understand why you're procrastinating and then ultimately help you fix it. Okay, another approach is to reprogram your sabotaging need for perfectionism. I'm talking to myself here too. So practice mantras like progress, not perfection, or done is better than perfect, and say them to you regularly. It takes a long time to reprogram or reframe your inner thoughts because you may have been thinking them your whole life, right? And you want things to be perfect and you have this real need to complete things perfectly, or you feel like a piece is missing or like a failure. So go easy on yourself, but really try to work on reprogramming your need for perfectionism. And it takes a long time. This is something that I work on with my clients one-on-one. And it's one of the hardest things sometimes to overcome is that need to be a perfectionist and thus procrastinate or not want to delegate tasks because of the need for control for that perfectionism. So go easy with yourself, but work on it and recognize it. And then lastly, a really great way to either curb or slow down your procrastination is to use the Eisenhower decision matrix. It's a super easy visual tool. I love visual. I'm a visual person that will help you to prioritize your tasks based on their urgency and the importance. Okay. So just Google image, Eisenhower decision matrix or decision model, whatever, and you'll be blown away by the simplicity of it, yet how incredibly useful it is. Not just with your business decisions, but also your life decisions. Okay, so let's talk about the main takeaways from today's video. Number 1, procrastination is normal until it's problematic to your life, whether that be your relationships, your health, or your work, and then you need to work to stop it or slow it down. There are 3 main types of procrastinators. Which one are you? Or which ones are you? I want you to be on the lookout for structured or productive procrastination. Remember that procrastination that's a little bit more sneaky because we're not doing nothing, but we're technically not doing what we need to do to get us towards our goals. Another important takeaway from today is, like all behaviors, you need to identify the why behind your procrastination. That's a fundamental step towards solving the issue. And then lastly, there are proven strategies to combat procrastination. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been procrastinating in life. You can change. You can get better, even if it's just small baby steps. Okay, so I love to end my videos with action steps for you because all this information is wonderful, but if you're not implementing it into your life, then it's not as wonderful as it could be. So I want you to pick 2 of the methods that we discussed for combating procrastination. Go ahead and rewind if you need to. So for instance, you may pick Mel Robbins' 5-second rule and journaling as your 2. Or if you're a business owner, you may pick goal setting and the Eisenhower decision matrix as your 2. Whatever you choose, I want you to review the information in the video and implement each daily for at least a week. Got it? Implement each daily for at least a week. And then report back in the comments below. Tell me how it went. Tell me if you were more productive this week. Any kind of feedback. I'd love to hear it. Okay, so that's it for this week's video. I can't wait to talk to you next week. Please make sure to click like down below if you enjoyed this video and click subscribe so that you can be alerted in your little subscription feed anytime I drop new content.